Okay, folks, here we are. Friday night, and we're going to give it a go and get some more painting done. And it took a little while for you guys to get here, but here we are. I think it's been, how long has it been? Since Monday. Okay, Monday we were painting. So yeah, it's been a while. So let's see if we can, let's clean this area up a little bit. How about we do that? We're going to leave the black and the white and the bronze out. Those always seem to be the ones that we need. And we'll put all these other colors away. Get them out of our hair here. And see what we can do. This is the final stages of the Russians. All right, there you are, Rick. Playing some Skyrim, huh? I think that's what you said you were playing. Is that the same thing as Elder Scrolls? I think Elder Scrolls I tried to play. I don't know if they're two different games. I'm sorry. Elder Scrolls is the one I tried to play, and it was like I was going from building to building, and every building looked the same. It was almost like they didn't have enough. But this was a while ago. This could have been 10 years ago. Yeah, Elder Scrolls 5 is Skyrim. Okay. So I must have played the version before Skyrim, and I did not like it. It was not my cup of tea. I wanted to, but it just, it was a little too much conversation. It's not that I don't want to talk to people, but you know, it wasn't my cup of thing. Now I did play the Dungeons and Dragons one. I forget which one it's called. Is it Dragon Veil or something like that? And that one had a reasonable amount of combat, but I like fantasy, but I don't like when the fantasy stuff when the magic is too powerful. I'm kind of, I want like real weapons to be thing. I'm not a big magic user kind of person. Go figure, right? And I remember way back in the day playing Baldur's Gate. I was loving that game, and then I got ambushed by a group of guys that used magic arrow. They used, I don't know, I'm gonna say it was like 8 guys using magic arrow, and just couldn't deal with that. And I mean, I had like a full party, and we just melted, and it was like, okay, that's no fun. Agreed. Vastly prefer swords with just a touch of sorcery. There you go. Yeah. And I always thought that would be really cool. I'm surprised nobody's done it. I mean, I haven't played role playing games since I was 14 years old, so what would that have been? 1983? Something. No, 1985. Sorry, I'm 1 year the other way. And I remember that module, Keep on the Borderlands. And I think that if you made a miniatures game like that, that would be pretty awesome. I keep on the Borderlands. I used to have it. I got rid of it. I sold it on eBay. I had that one, and then I only had a few of them. I collected as a kid or whatever. You know, when you're a kid, you don't really play things the way they're supposed to be played, anyways. They get too complicated. I remember having that. What is it? The Pit of Horrors, or the Cave of Horrors, or the Tomb of Horrors. And I remember reading through it, and I'm like, "There's no way that somebody could survive this. There's just no way that you're going to make it to the end." It's like every time you turned, it was something else. You know, and I think did some kind of review of some miniatures that are made. I wanted to say it was you. Or I saw someone else that had reviews of. They had those like demon heads that are from that particular module where you could, climb inside of. Look, if you see a demon head on the wall, you don't, and it has an open mouth, you do not climb inside of it. I would actually turn around and go the other way. I don't do well with demonic looking things. Um, that's my that's my kryptonite. But yeah, somebody makes the miniatures for the, but those collector, like I don't like collector type things because it's just a money way for you just to throw money at it, I remember the only thing I have that's a collector type game is on the miniatures page many years ago. Heck, it was probably over 10 years. I'm sure it was over 10 years ago. And it might have even been before I got into DVA. So a while ago, they had that collectible ship game that is, I have the whole first, what's it called? Pirates of the Spanish Main. And I thought they were really cool miniatures. The game sucks. The game is extremely poor. It is really poorly designed. You can make your own rules, but But I have the whole first set, and I funded it by. I went out and I bought $80 worth of stuff, sold duplicates. It was not a lot of them had come out, so there was a high demand for it. Sold duplicates, used that money. I did 1 day sales on eBay, sold that money, took that money that I made, and bought more, and just kept doing that until I ended up getting. I got a free set, and I think I bought all my Vallejo paints from that. I mean, I made like $400 or something like that. But I didn't, And then the second set came out, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And yeah, there wasn't as much demand for it because I think that whoever designed the actual little miniatures, the little ships that you put together, was brilliant. But the rules are horrible. They have no wind. They have no wind rules, and they're not really balanced games. The miniatures are really cool. I mean, I don't know if you call them miniatures, but I think you can pick those things up cheap now. They went into sea monsters and Chinese and all kinds of stuff. It's some of those games are really cool, but then when you look at the rules, if you've played a lot of games with different ones, you find out what works, you find out what you like rules wise, and there's a couple things in rules that I think that are really important. One of them is that it doesn't take forever for your turn to come around. So if you're playing a game like Axis and Allies is a great game. I think it's a great two-player game. You add more people, and it's like, oh, okay, it's going to be like hours before my turn's around. Okay, I'm going to go watch TV, or the person's surfing on their phone, or they're doing anything but being involved in the game. That's not my kind of thing. The last monster game I remember playing was a game of Here I Stand, and it was 10 and a half hours long, and I wasn't bored for a moment. So that's a good game, and it was also one of those games that I didn't care if I won or not. And that doesn't mean I didn't try, but it was like the exercise that you were going through was more important than actually winning the game. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that was a good game. But any game that you don't have a lot of different options to do on a given on most turns, it's just kind of boring. It's kind of on autopilot. But I like being challenged. I like to think. Not tremendously, but I like a lot of different ways to skin a cat. I've got to write myself a note that I've got to look up on the internet where the hell that saying comes from, because that just sounds like something that could have a really interesting history. Or I can pretend it has more interesting history than it really does. I might actually be disappointed. Okay, so I think where we left off is, even though I took the paints and put them away like a dummy, it's not like I can't find which color it is. I believe it was this one here. Yeah, so you don't want people bored in your game. You don't want people. You don't want it to take forever for your turn to come back around. There's a card game my mom likes to play, and I won't play with her because it just takes forever for your turn to come back around. And it's kind of mindless. There's not enough things to think about, you know. I mean, I don't want to play chess, but somewhere between the two. But there's a couple of games that I have that are like that. That's one of them. That Pirates of the Spanish Main. I have this. I don't even know why I have them. I guess I don't know. They're not worth selling, not worth getting rid of. And then the other stuff is the HeroClix. So there was a while, like 3 or 4 years ago, we played HeroClix. Not to to get the super characters, but just to be able to play different teams, almost kind of how we were playing BattleTech way back in the day. You would just, have a certain amount of points and you would build a team around a certain theme. And, but the rules for HeroClix are terrible. They're not, they're bad in the standpoint of it's very predictable who's going to go next. So if you just have some kind of a random initiative system, it would be better. But just this side takes one guy, this guy. I don't even remember how it is before. You roll for initiative, and then you alternate, and it's just too it's too predicted. So I'd rather just like, okay, take each character, write their name in a chit, throw them in a bag, pull a guy out. That guy goes next. Okay, that guy's done. Okay, pull the next guy out. Because once you get the stuff in the click stuff is pretty cool, and but anywho, so but then again, we want a good game. They just want to sell stuff. So we wouldn't be as good at selling things as they would be. That's what they do. But same thing with movies. You'll see a movie, it's like, man, I wish I would have done this. Well, they don't care. They want to make a quick buck. Sometimes they don't care. Most of the time they don't care. But what color did I use? Did I use chocolate brown for that? I was a little too hasty in putting away these colors like I shouldn't have. But I'm going to be able to get close, so I am not worried about it too much. I just want to get to painting. We did start at 8, so we'll see how long we can keep this going. Friday night is one of those days that I don't want to do a damn thing. I'm beat up. I'm beat from the week. So those people, it's like, hey, it's Friday night, let's go out. It's like, this would be the worst night. I'm like burnt. All right. Let's get us a mix here, and everything's not where it's supposed to be. You sit there. Put these in a better location. Yeah, I wish there was a way that when people write something down, I would get a little notifications like, or something. But if it just takes me a while to answer something you guys may say, well, just bear with me. But yeah, I don't understand why Mondays have such a bad rap. Mondays, many people have 2 days off before the Monday comes. It's Friday when I'm burnt, especially Friday morning. It's like, oh man, I just got to get through this day, and nobody's going to want to work, and and Fridays are very busy for us because we're doing stuff the day before in advance. So doing stuff for Monday on Friday. So never working on the present. But anywho, yeah, I'm not one of those people that just collects games because I like to read the rules. I'm almost gotten to the point where I don't want to read the rules. I read them because I have to, but I want to play the period or paint the period. Or I was kind of disappointed a couple of years ago. They had all those coin games that came out. We're talking about games, those counterinsurgency, whatever they're called. So they're who are they made by? Is it GMT that makes those things? They've got the Cuba Libre and the Andean Abyss and all those little blocks or whatever. I don't necessarily have to play a straight combat game, but I don't really care for games that you're just trading stuff. Like I can do that in real life, but those coin games look really interesting. And I tried one, and I was kind of disappointed of what it was. It was not. It was a little bit too. It was a little too much planning in advance for my taste. I don't necessarily like to play. I don't necessarily have to play games that are impulse, but I don't like stuff that involves a lot of planning because you spend a lot of time planning, and then your turn doesn't come up at the right time, and then it's time wasted. Or as I like to say, it reminds me of work. Where you got to plan and things go haywire. So I'm like, I'm not getting paid right now for these kind of mishaps. So I'd rather not have to relive my Monday through Friday. So I'm not a big planner game person, which is why I would rather go to work than do something like play chess. That's not my thing. Which is also the other reason that I do not want to play Big Battle DBA anymore. Now, don't get that confused with a game where multiple people are on the table at the same time, like we've done before. Martian, hello. Yeah, don't confuse Big Battle DBA with like what we did in the Sicilian game. Because those are like, I just don't like the having to pre-plan your commands and who's going to be in your high pip and who's going to be that. And then you roll for aggression. You have this great plan, and then you roll a bad aggression, and all that planning that you did just went out the window. And no, that reminds me of work. I like having teammates because I don't like them. I don't micromanage them. I mean, as long as they're not doing something completely foolhardy, you can do whatever you want with them. I mean, you're the guy on the spot over there. I'm this other ally that's over here on the board, you know. But I'm not a micromanager, so I do enjoy the teammate aspect. I just don't like all the pre-planning that goes along with it. I don't like the whole, oh, we're getting ready to, you need to leave the table. We need to talk about strategy. That just makes the game take forever, you know. So maybe I don't like very intensive pre-planning because again, it can just things don't turn out the way you are, and you just kind of wasted your time doing that. So anyhow, I like to play a little bit more seat of the pants than that. But this guy is one, two, three, four more nights to do after this guy. So I can't guarantee that we'll get them all done this weekend. I know we won't get them all done this weekend. Hopefully we can get a couple more, get a dent, because really want to start working on the next army. So even though the figures won't look as good, or let's see, the castings won't look as good. Let's put it that way. I did find a treasure trove of something the other day. I'll let you guys know about it when I start doing it. But I did find. Thank goodness it's Saturday painting. Be able to watch for a while before we head out. You're the busiest retired person I know, there, Greg. How's tomorrow look? Are we still going to be alive? Does nuclear war start tomorrow? Oh man. TGIS. Not for Mitch. He's got to work on Saturdays. Sucker. Yep. Got one more week to go. No videos this Friday. I mean, this Monday. So we'll be painting again on Monday. And then hopefully, by the time we get back, these Russians will be done, and we'll do a Russian theme thing. You know, like From Russia with Love. Of course, that's going to be named. Why would it be named anything else? No nuclear war here, but it's cloudy. Well, the day's still young. Is that even a thing anymore? I don't know. I'm from that age that we grew up in that Cold War, and we didn't mutually annihilate each other. So I'm a little bit like, why are you guys worried about this, man? We survived the the Cold War and nothing happened. Yeah, I heard the other. I don't watch the news at all, for good reason, and I don't have time for lies, no matter who's telling you. But the little spat between the French and the British, or as I like to say, the island French and the mainland French. I heard that one time somewhere. Somebody posted, and I'm like, oh, that is so true. Speaking of which, I'm reading that Dan Jones book on the War of the Roses, and it is phenomenal. It is really really good. It's so far it's really easy to understand what's going on. So that's we'll see if I still feel that same way. But he has a knack for being able to explain complicated things easy. So Teutonics, Poles, Lithuanians, Mongols, all in using. Well, we've got Teutonics. We have Poles. We have the actual figures for both. So, you know, Mongols, Mongols just don't play like Mongols in DBA. They just don't play like Mongols. I don't know that I can't say that I've even played them in a single game where they played like Mongols. You know what? They play okay. They're definitely competitive in Field of Glory 2, Medieval on the computer. The Mongols can stand to the Russians, definitely. They're annoying as shit. You know, you can't catch them. You feel like that Sylvester with a kangaroo who wants to get in a boxing match. You know, stand still. You know, Dan Jones, a good historian. Yeah, his Plantagenet book. The problem is it was narrated by someone I really disliked, but the story was still good. But then he did the Crusades one himself on the Audible one, and that was great. He has a good, not all accents are the same. Speaking as an American, not all accents are the same. Some ones are easier to understand than others, and his is easy to understand. And I watched some YouTube video about all the different accents of the United Kingdom, and I'm like, some of them are like, might as well be from another planet, and then some of them are like, oh, I understand every single thing this person's saying, you know. But that wasn't the problem with this one guy. He just didn't want to be there, and I didn't want him to be there either. I wanted a different narrator. But Dan Jones did the Crusades one. I think he does the Templar one too. But this the War of the Roses one, which is not just War of the Roses, it's between the two. It basically picks up where the other one left off, which is what I wanted. And they it's really good so far. Whoever he has narrating, I don't know what the gentleman's name is, but he does a good job. He just puts emphasis on it, and sometimes you get a narrator that just mispronounces everything. But when Dan Jones when he narrated his own Crusades one, he knows all the French accents for things, and that's I appreciate that kind of stuff. So and he's a young guy too. I think he's my age or something like that. Why, I consider that young. I'm pretty sure he's in his 40s. He may even be younger than me. Well, let's find out. No, he does a really good job. He does a really, really good job. Um, Dan Jones age. You see, that is a common name. That is a common. Well, that's not him. Dan Jones, historian, age. Historian, age. He's 39. Well, he looks older than 39. Too many gin and tonics, I guess. Oh, man. No, I like his stuff, definitely. From Henry IV onward, yeah. Well, there's some areas that I'm pretty familiar with. And then there's some areas that were just kind of, you're just talking about the Plantagenet book. There's some areas that I'm just not really, I don't think it's particularly interesting for me, just because it's either very convoluted or it's a time period when they really didn't fight outside. Because I'm not a big fan of civil wars, says someone who's about to read about War of the Roses. Um, so in the Plantagenet book, of course, um, who's Longshank's stupid son, whoever he is. Like what happened with him, where he just gave it up, kind of pulled a where he pulled a Commodus thing. Yeah, that's that and the Mortimer stuff, and it's kind of like Simon de Montfort and all. I mean, that's just stuff that I really didn't know a whole lot about, and I didn't think it was particularly interesting. But I would read it again. I mean, it made me want to read the book again and get more little details on it about stuff like that. But Edward II, yeah, he sucked. He sucked. But I remember going through the end of the Plantagenet book, and I don't remember Jack about the Richard II. I don't remember anything that happened with him. So some parts of the book you're like really intent on listening to, and then some of it is like, you know. I think that probably happens with everything, but I'll tell you this: if they do come out with and they do this sometimes. Sometimes they'll come up with an Audible, same book, different narrator. I'd probably buy it again with a different narrator, because it is a good story. Another good story that's really good is, and there's probably a ton of books with this name. I believe it's called Conquistadors. It's by a guy with the last name of, I want to say it's Buddy Levy or something like that. But the narrator who narrated that, he mispronounced everything in the Aztec names and the Spanish names, and it was like painful. But that is an incredible story. That's almost science fiction. But yeah, it's one of those. Man, I wish they would make a movie about that. And then you realize they probably shouldn't, because it would just twist it. They would just turn it around upside down. So Richard II, almost as bad as John the Only. Was he the only? He was the only king of England named John, right? So apparently, reading this the War of the Roses book, all the French kings named Jean also weren't worth a damn. So maybe it's maybe that's why they named toilets John. Oh man. So actually, John is considered a brilliant general by Phil Barker. Did you know that? And it might only be because of something that he did in the. Let me see if I can pull that up. It's on book. It's in book 4. I've got here. It is. It's book 4, right? Book 423, right? That's feudal English. Let's see why. Yeah, he was a moron. Uh, Nobody's a fan of his, right? Okay, brilliant general, only if commanded by Richard I, which apparently wasn't that good either. Really, what was he smoking? Yeah, the good stuff. Okay, so feudal English, all right? Feudal English can have some brilliant generals. Okay, they can have Richard the Lionheart from 1194 to 1199. I don't remember exactly when he came on Crusade. That may have been when he came back from Crusade already. He was fighting over at what was that place that he had his castle? Is it Chinon? I think he had a castle up there. He was involved with some wars there with, I want to say, the French. So Richard the Lionheart from 1194 to 1199, or King John. Get this. You ready for this? King John from 1199. So since he took over until 1216. Magna Carta is 1215. So what was so brilliant about King John even after Magna Carta? I don't know. What's he smoking, right? Then Henry III from 1242 to 1264 is considered an inert general. I don't remember who Henry III was. Um, Maybe that was during, looks like that time period was during Simon de Montfort, 1242 to 1264. Yeah. And then if you have Prince Edward slash Edward the First between 1264 and 1307, yeah, it's Longshanks. He can be a brilliant general as well. Yeah, I could see Longshanks. But King John, why would King John be brilliant? All right, let's see what it says down here. Descriptions. This is why I got these books. Not because I have any intention of ever playing DVMM, but there's some cool, juicy stuff in there. And I don't know, they were like 16 bucks a piece or something like that. It's not bad. Let's see if it says. Okay, Richard the First was a very good and sometimes unconventional general. Yeah, but I thought he governed like crap. I mean, he was okay in the Crusades, but anyhow, his brother and successor John, familiar as a Robin Hood caricature villain, was less consistent and not a nice man, but a brilliant exponent of mobility and surprise. Really? Okay, Phil Barker. Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he has Plantagenet blood in him. John had only one victory, Mirabeau. He lost most of the mainland Angevin possessions. Yeah, he. I don't know. I guess maybe there's two sides to every coin. So there's a historian I came across by accident. I don't know if he's a historian. Historian would be somebody who did that by birth, and he's really interesting in doing history stuff. All World War II stuff. All World War II stuff. I think it's all World War II stuff. And I came across him several years ago, and he has a new take on everything. New take on stuff that we're used to, that we grew up understanding or knowing, and he definitely has some unconventional theories or ideas about stuff. I don't know if he's wrong, but it's just 180 degrees from what we used to grow up on. So yeah, I don't know. There's some. He reads a lot of books though, so stuff along the lines of Hitler wasn't that bad of a tactician. That he had reasons why he attacked certain places in Russia, but I'm like, I can't see it. I just can't see it. you know. And he's not, saying that, he's a good guy or anything. There's nothing to do with it. Just that, he was, got to go now. Nice conversation. Well, not anymore. You're leaving. Yeah, I don't know what Phil Barker has for King John. Yeah. Oh, well. But so far, that book is pretty interesting on the War of the Roses, which we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm enjoying it thus far. Like, I didn't know anything about Henry VI, nothing. So that's cool. It's good to learn things. They give you like a starting block and then be like, ah, this guy's kind of interesting. We'll read more about him or something like that. Maybe not in the case of Henry VI, but there's different people that appeal to different folks. I am not like Joel, who claims to be not have any favorite generals. I definitely have people that I favor reading stuff about. You know, I was I came across. I'm gonna go grab another soda, and I'll be right back. And that'll remind me that something that I wanted to bring up that I saw in the last 2 days. I thought was very curious. Yeah. So one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting is I came across some spill the beans on something a little bit. Marty's going to come down here in a couple weeks or whatever, and he's got some War of the Roses. He said, I want to do a big Battle War of the Roses game. So I was doing some kind of looking around. I wasn't even looking for that. And I came across the designer notes that are on GMT's website for their Men of Iron series, which has the battles from the War of the Roses on there, and it like has the whole scenario book in there like for free. And it wasn't somebody that like they commandeered it and photocopied and put it on the internet. It's on their website. So I sent that over to them, and it was some really interesting. I was looking through some of the design notes because I'm not there. I think it's going to be really interesting for me to read those battles as I come up with them on the book, so I can like physically see what where the starting points are and stuff like that. Although those aren't necessarily battles I'm extremely interested in because they all break down to, you know, pretty much all the War of the Roses armies are the same. They've got men at arms, they got bowmen, they've got a 1 to 3 or so proportion of bowmen and men at arms on foot, and occasionally some guys mounted on horseback that are knights, and that's it. Everybody's force is kind of like the same thing. But regardless, in the design notes, the author Richard Berg, who I really have not played many of his games, but I understand he's very controversial because he's very opinionated, or so I've heard. He has a little blurb in there about how he's pro Richard II and he doesn't think he was that bad of a. I don't know anything about it. I'm just starting off reading about that period, but I thought it was really funny that he just like said, I just want to let you know that I'm pro this guy, and I think he got a bad rap. Or I'm like, I could see where he's. I don't know if I would put something like that in a game I was designing, but hey, that's just me. I've said it before. All these characters from history, by today's standards, were all really, really unpleasant folks, for the most part. I don't know if I can think of anybody. Nobody comes to mind that would not fall for. All these guys that are like well known, and Alexander, and all these guys were just. You wouldn't want to be serving under them these days. With the stuff that we know. But but yeah, they have the whole design notes for that. So I'm actually going to look forward to reading about those battles as I come across them in the book. And I have extremely cursory knowledge about the War of the Roses. So I enjoy learning as long as I get to pick what I'm learning about, you know. So I'm looking forward to reading that. But I won't be painting any War of the Roses armies, probably ever. They're too similar to the Hundred Years' War English armies, and Mitch has two of those, and Marty has three or four War of the Roses armies for DVA. So there's not really a big incentive for me to do them. I would just as soon do a Tudor army because I've got troops to do the Tudors, and you know, we can make fun of their name too. We can make fart jokes all night. And they're also almost the same type of thing. They have bowmen, some blades, and very few mounted troops. So a lot of those three armies are very similar. Hundred Years' War English, War of the Roses English, and Tudor. And I think as you go on in period, the English have less and less mounted in each one of those armies. So not that I have to have mounted, but just they're very similar compositions. Yeah, but I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't have any favorite generals that he likes to read about. Doesn't mean you think they're good guys or anything, just people that are interesting, you know? I have a I have a book that I read. I say read. I mean have read to me on Audible, and it was one of it was the Killing series by Bill O'Reilly. I don't know who it's narrated by. It's narrated by somebody else, and it was one on Reagan. And I thought it was really enjoyable and kind of all kinds of stuff I had no idea about. And so he has one on Patton. So I think that that's also on my short list to see what kind of juicy stuff there is about Patton. Because, boy, this is just like crinkle mania. And I put like water in here. I'm going to have to get more water. I'm going to have to step away and pour some in here. And I will be right back. This will take just a moment. Okay. Let's take this up. Let's have you guys see how this behaves. This is all curling. Well, the other thing is that because there's paint on here, it's not it doesn't it's inhibiting this material getting moisture through, but it still will curdle back. So you can just see, let's make, hopefully I don't go too far, but you do need to get this thing pretty wet for it to work. No, no smell, good. That last one was getting stinky with the mold type of smell. And they have to wash it with antibacterial soap. And I think I've read somewhere that people use a little bit of detergent or something like that, but it's not that big a deal. All right. It's only a smell because it gets enclosed in this. If you let it out to air dry, it would never get that smell. There we go. There we go. Give it new life. A new lease on life. All right. Where the hell were we? Are we about done with this horse? I think we are. I think we are. Okay, so we've got the... Okay, so this guy's going to need a face shield. And just by looking at it, I think all these guys have a bronze one. Nope. That one has a silver one. Another silver one. One bronze. Okay, so then we need another bronze one. Just to kind of even things out. And I said I wasn't going to put my bronze away, and I didn't. Okay. If you guys are not familiar with what's in the magic juice here, it's this is Vallejo airbrush thinner, water-based, and it works really well. To thin your paints without losing the pigments. It's some kind of Spanish magic trick. Honestly, I don't know how they were able to do it, but I'm accidentally using that, and it's a good thing because it was. I'm not going to say a godsend because it wasn't like I was having major issues, but. All right, let's get our lead belcher out here. Lead belcher, that'd be a good name for an organ gun. I came across a couple of artillery pieces that were really prominent in certain battles, and I should have written down what their names were. It was really funny. The last one I came across was there was a big gun. I guess it was bombarding Orleans towards the end of the 100 Years' War that the French were using, and they called it Shepherdess. And that's not exactly what I would have called the gun, but apparently it's because it was named after what's her face? Wow, this is happening more and more often. I'll be in a old folks home here in this time in about 2 years. Anyhow, the peasant girl, whatever it was that Joan of Arc. And then there was another couple of ones that were in the Crusade book that the Mamelukes had. They had names for their artillery pieces. It was the Mamelukes or the Ubids, one of the other ones. Should have written down what they were named, but they're not exactly names I would have picked. They were a little bit more mundane than Leadbelcher or something like that. You know, destroyer of cities or. Okay, we need to let that dry a little bit, and then we will go ahead and do the Nuln Oil on that. But meanwhile, we will go ahead and pick a decal out, do this guy's decal, right? Because now we kind of have a starting point. The strange and unusual method of putting these decals on. Even though I've done it a few times, I still find it strange and unusual. It's counterintuitive. All right, so there's a lot of red shields in this army, or red-ish type shields in this army. The last guy I did that had this face mask had a red one. Another one has a blue one. Another one's a bluish. All right, so what do we got here? I don't want to use the green one. That's a little too Irish for me. Nothing against the Irish, but these guys aren't Irish. Yeah, like this one's really cool, but you can tell the hole is not centered on the shield emblem at all. So when I go to put that thing on there, this one up here in the corner, it's not going to look right, you know? I think I like this one right here. This one right here, we're going to go with that one. Is it centered? It's close. Let's put that one on it. No, it's not that centered. We'll make it work. These round ones take a lot longer to cut than the oblong ones. Okay. So for those of you who do not know, the part that you're seeing here is the part of the shield that actually faces downward. Huh? This is the back side. This is the side you see here that goes up against this white part. The plastic film is on there to keep it from sticking to your finger or anything else, because the back of this is tacky. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this to size. We're going to stick it almost like a dry rub on top. We're going to peel the plastic, stick it on here almost like it's a dry rub. We're going to rub the back of a brush against it. You know, wait a little bit, take some clean water, brush it on the back side, which is this one. This is the paper. But what's underneath here is actually the top part of the shield that you're going to see underneath the paper. So it's very counterintuitive. It's not a water slide decal that most of us are familiar with. I don't know that anyone does this type of system. It works okay. I wish it was not. I wish I don't cut myself here. I'm trying to get rid of this extra piece. There we go. I wish it wasn't this way because you can't adjust it. You might be able to using microset, but I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I should do that. I should try that on like a trash figure. Just put a shield down and then see if I can move it around with microset. That would be pretty cool if I could find out that you can. Maybe we'll do that after this army's done. But that would be pretty cool if you could adjust that. So, but as far as as far as I understand that you cannot do that. Okay. Let's trim that out. So the other thing is, because these are 15 millimeter decals, there is not a very large margin of error between the place where the decal needs to go and the edge of the shield, because what happens is where this decal goes, needs to be painted white underneath. It's like a transparency thing, and if it doesn't go on white, then it's not bright enough. So if you had this, if you put this on something that's black, you wouldn't see it at all. It would be totally, this is transparent, and it requires like the white underneath to show through. So what happens is you end up having to pre-paint whatever area it is that you're going to do the shield to attach to in white. The problem with that is these decals are made specifically for these figures, and a lot of these guys decals are not are specific to certain manufacturers, because not everybody's figures are the same, or made for the certain shields. But what I encountered the other day is I encountered a shield that was apparently slightly oblong, so this didn't sit perfectly in the center of it. But the other issue that you run into is when you paint this white, it's a really fine line between, if you go too far, then the shield will sit in there, but then you're going to have white around your rim, and then you need to come back and paint it with, say, black or a metallic color. And as soon as you get that black or metallic color close to the edge of this decal, you get capillary action, and it pulls the paint underneath and it ruins your decal. So the other alternative is you don't go all the way to the edge. You leave a little rim like this. But sometimes the shield pattern is actually bigger than the white section, which means the outside section will be a little duller, almost invisible. So it's kind of like you take it one, there's a really fine line between the two. So if it was 28 millimeter, that you'd have that same fine line, but it means less to you because the figure is so much of a grander scale. So it's not. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is these decals are good, but you got to be careful with them. So let me get my tweezer out before I got it. I think we've trimmed enough of that off that we need. You guys have probably seen me do this before. I've done it a few dozen times on here. Dozen times? About. Okay, so here is the little plastic that comes off. So we're going to sit this on top of this. Now, if it's straight on there or not, I have no idea as I'm looking at it from the backside. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem with these decals. Really is that. Is you can't really observe how it went for you. I don't know why it's leaving black marks on it. I don't want that to lead on to the decal itself, so just burnish this. Okay. And then take this brush with clean water. And what this is going to do is it's going to release the front of the decal from the paper it's on. And I probably use more water than I'm supposed to, but I don't want to tear it half off. It's really quite magical, whoever designed this thing, but I wish there were water scale decals, because I can work with those a lot better. I've got years of practice. They're more forgiving. You can move them around, and well, that's something interesting. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. It looks good. But the top of here, it's almost like the decal didn't stick down. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it, because the last time I did some of these figures with the decals, it looked horrible. And then once they were sealed, it looked great. I am going to. Okay, it looks like it didn't stick to it very well. on the top here. What happens if here we go, we're playing with fire. No, we're going to leave it be, okay? We're going to leave it be and proceed like it's okay and have confidence that it'll turn out all right, okay? I was really skeptical the last time I did some of my spearmen, which, by the way, I don't know where the hell they are. They're around here somewhere in some tray. I don't think they're in my case. But once you seal them and everything, the shine and stuff comes off of it. I was very unhappy with how they turned out last time, and I really don't know where they are. Yeah. Oh well. That's when you know you have too many figures. You don't know where they're all at. And I don't put them all over the place, but okay. So we've got our shield kind of on there. Let's go ahead and paint. We need some fresh black here. I was very discouraged when I did my spearmen. I'm like, well, if they suck, I'll just pull them off and repaint their shields, right? Because it's not like I can't paint shields. I mean, they won't look this good, but nobody's shields looked as good as these decals. No one. So, unless you've got Michelangelo painting your shields for you in your army. So, what would that be? Just the Florentines? So, for those of you that missed the last painting session on Monday, I did the reveal of what the next army is going to be. I think. I still reserve the right to change it at the last minute. But yeah, it should be papal Italian. So we'll get to see a pope and a litter and all that kind of fun stuff and all the jokes that go along with that. So that should be a hoot. All right, so we've got this shield done. So now we kind of know what colors to kind of tie in with everything. Now, the main color for his vestment, I'm thinking red. I already have one of these figures that's painted red. And figures, I mean, in exactly the same pose. It's this guy here. He already has red. So I'm a little skeptical to do that. I did a blue one recently, and I did a white one. So he's on a white horse, or a white-ish horse, so he's definitely not having most of the color on his clothes be white, because that just doesn't work really well. So I'm thinking I'm going to do red, and I'm going to do a different red, because this one is the orangish red one. So we're going to do the one that's not so orange. Okay. Or I could just do dark red. Let's just do dark red with them. This is how I make all my important decisions. Just some of it's just whim, and some of it is just like, if it turns out I don't like it, I just repaint it. It's not that big a deal. I don't put the paint on so thick. It's not that big a problem. So. And we should be back on tomorrow morning. So if you guys like to watch me in the morning, I will be back on in the morning at, we'll see how early we can get on. By 6 for sure. We'll see if we can do better than that. I think one of the days last weekend I got on almost like at 5:30. So we'll try to get some paint. I want to put some I want to get these guys over with so we start working on some, the Pope and their allies. Ought to be fun. All right, let's do our. And we need to go darker than that. There we go. We're going to paint all of his shirt and everything in this color here. is this bouncing so much? There's the table up against the wall. Maybe not so bad now. In front of this. Okay. What else we got? All right, let's bring this up. So yeah, I didn't find out about the little fishing spat until I think today. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to what's going on in the world. Best not to worry about it. Fishing spat reminded me of something that I encountered, I think late last year. We were at the store and we were gonna buy salmon, and it was Atlantic salmon. So I always look like where it's from because I don't want to buy something from halfway around the world that's, fish. Like, why, right? It's bad enough that you're buying it from another continent, but this was this was Atlantic salmon from Chile, and I'm like, Chile is not even on the Atlantic side. Well, lo and behold, they actually do. They have a tiny little bay, so I guess all the fishing must come from that one little bay. They do have one little bay, and I'm not talking about all the way in Tierra del Fuego. I mean up from that a little bit, that actually goes into the Atlantic. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I was in the store the other day, and sure enough, Chilean Atlantic salmon. Even though 99.99999% of Chile is on the Pacific coast. So, go figure. Okay, we need to do a lightener. I've got this color right here. It doesn't have to be white. There it is. That's what my lightener is going to be. That color right there. So I'm using this the airbrush thinner just like if I was using water, but I don't know what it is, but it doesn't thin the pigments, and it makes a difference. It's not like it's not like it's getting watery. It's just different. I don't know exactly what it's doing, but the stuff works really well. I had bought it originally to dilute the paint, dilute the Games Workshop paint enough to put it in an eyedropper because the Games Workshop paint was making too much of a mess when I was opening the bottle, and it ended up being a fail because now you water the paint enough to put it in one of those bottles, and now it makes a mess in a little bottle. It just kind of dribbles out, kind of a low pressure type of thing. So, but in the process, I was like, okay, what am I going to use all this entire thing of airbrush thinner, which is huge, and if I'm not going to do that stunt again, and now I'm using it for this, and I will always use it. I mean, it makes a big difference. It keeps the paint from clumping on your brush. I don't know. It's just it's expensive. It's like $20 for what is this? 200 milliliters? What's that? 20% of a liter? Yeah, 200 milliliters. Supposedly this is 6.76 ounces. This looks a lot bigger than 7 ounces, but it's an optical delusion, I guess. So, okay, so we've got that, and it's a different color than the red. I will show you in case you don't believe me. Where's my little stand? It's easier to see these guys up here, so I'm not moving all over the place. Look at the shirt colors here. It's a totally different color here. Okay. Put this guy back. We don't need him for an example anymore. Slow night. You guys are just listening intently. Okay. Well, it's how many red trappings do these horses have? I've got one other guy with a red trapping. All right, red it is. Well, now we'll grab that flat red, which is the other one, and before I get started on that, I'm going to use the little boy's room. Okay, red. I don't remember if I mixed this or not. Let's mix it. All right. Have a pale horse, and we'll have some brighter straps. So we're going to do this till 10. It's unlikely I will get this guy done, but he will be very close. And with any luck, tomorrow morning's painting session, I can finish him up and do another one. And that will just leave, that will leave just 3. It'll leave well, it's probably the 3 guys in the command stand. Because it'll leave the commander, it'll leave the guy that has the banner, and then it'll leave the guy with a horn. There's no point in putting the guy with a horn on another stand other than the commander. So. All right. Right. When did these figures get painted? Now that I'm thinking about it, because I couldn't finish these guys in time for a convention, but I ran them anyways. I wanted to say it was 2017, and they went 5-2, so they must have played in a couple games. Let me see where I can find them. I think it's 2017. Geez, I played a lot of games since 2017. Like a lot. "2017, my Nan Chow must have just gotten done." Well, let me look up here where they got done after the song, but before the carriage. So it would have been like 2018 or even 2019. Here it is. October 2019. Okay. Yeah. 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 5-2. Oh, they won Horde Wars. That's what it is. You had to have at least one Horde. They won Horde Wars. Okay. Perfect. And I used them in the open. And they went 2-1. Perfect. There you have it. That's why we keep records. So you remember things. Memory is pretty useless. You got to write things down if you want to remember what happened. Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. I was thinking it was longer ago than that. 2019, that was just the other day. Hey, that was back when we had freedom and all that good stuff. Who would have thought, right? Was that? Oh, that was the last. That was the last convention we had. Yeah, that was the last convention. Interesting. Going to be a lot of red and white in the next army. A lot. Well, there's a lot of mercenary troops, so it's not like everybody's going to be wearing red and white. You know, it's going to be a lot of smorgasbord stuff, but the main somebody was mentioned to me, said, "Oh, you're doing that army, so there'll be a lot of yellow and white." I said, "No, not during this time. Maybe now it's yellow and white, but it's red and white back then." And remember, you're talking papal forces around the mid 1200s, so you know that Swiss Guard and all that stuff that hadn't been invented yet. That wasn't a thing. So but we're gonna do some Golf and Ghibelline stuff. So you guys don't know what that is, you can look it up. It's the Holy Roman Empire and the Pope going at it in Italy. So just want to see what that litter is going to be some interesting rule situations for us there. Okay, getting to the end of this, just the main color. We're gonna have to lighten this. So my options are, I either lighten it with white or maybe a yellow. And I'm thinking the horse is already kind of pale, so I think I'm gonna lighten it up with like a light yellow. It's very little. It's not a whole lot that we're lightening it up, but just enough to make it pop a little bit. All right, let's get some of that. Let's get some of that yellow here. And the one I'm thinking of is this one right here. All right. There we go. Little something like that. A little bit more. I know it's getting kind of pinkish, but we're going to go light on it and put a little bit more oomph, a little bit more contrast here. And something happens whenever you seal this thing up. I don't know what the magic is, but it looks so much better. It brings out all the colors. It adds like increased depth. So That's why I'm not really impressed with how these things look until I finally do the seal. Now, I'm not going to do that seal until all the nights are done. I usually do them in batches. So, like, if I'm doing like a couple stands of spearmint, I'll do all the spearmint and then we'll spray them and lacquer and all that stuff at once, because you waste a lot of spray when you're doing that. You don't want to do it one at a time because you'll end up wasting 90% of what you're spraying out. So it's definitely more efficient the more particular figures you can do at a given time with that. All right. Right, so we've got little rivets to do on there. Let's go ahead and do that as well. Do we still have some of the metallic? We do. It's right here. And this brush should be fine. I am going to give it a little bit of a, it's getting kind of tinted red a little bit. Let's, just for good measure, as soon as I can find where it is, here it is, my brush cleaner. Let's just do a little bit of that. I don't do this frequently, but yeah, get all that. And this stuff actually works really well for getting paint off. What it doesn't work really well for is reshaping the brush. And I know you can shape it on there and leave it overnight. It doesn't matter. When a brush starts going sideways, this just going to go sideways, and that's it. It's over, you know. So let me. I know I've got one of the. There we go. This should work fine for this. If it was white, it'd work even better, because you could tell. All right, now let's rinse this. This is just kind of a quick job on this. So I'm going to roll right back into this one. There we go. Much better. Okay. The little rivets. Right. You guys just joining us? Welcome, welcome. Hey, the conversation died once Australian Greg left, so, you know. He must have been the life of the party. And let's go ahead and do this too. And this as well. All right, perfect. Now we need to do a little cloth on there. I don't think I've done a single cloth that has been green, have I? I don't think a single cloth is green, so here's our candidate for a green cloth. We're gonna do this guy, and it's what we can grab. It's not out of control. Right. This seems out of control bright, but we're gonna be dulling it down. Oh, please don't be too watery. Please don't be too watery. Oh, never mind. This thing's so watery. Look, the tip's even gone. This is I bought a lot of my Vallejos from a company in California that used to import a lot of things, and I think the ones they sent me had been sitting on the shelf a long time because many of the colors were very they seemed like they were really old. Um, but no big deal. There we go. That color's just as good. That green's just as good. All right, let's go ahead and paint this. Let's get some black here and do the dark shade color for this on here. A lot of times when you paint this stuff, you have to figure out exactly what it is that's being molded there. And it seems to me that this is a saddle that pokes through the cloth. So there's like a cloth that the saddle sits on, and it's tied in underneath. And that's what we're going to represent here. This is the cloth portion. Obviously, we're not going to be doing leather that's green. This is just a cloth that happens to be on there. It keeps this guy from being all red. Hello, Kevin. More painting Russians. These are, this is the, once I get this guy done, there's 4 guys left, and then this Russian army's done. We can move on to the next folks, the next army. All right, we're going to brighten this up. I'm probably going to use that same bright yellow that's already there, since it's handy. Oh, that's right. Your symbol is your crest from. You say it was from reenactment or something like that? I think you said it was from reenactment. I know with the first army that that I did with knights and stuff, I super planned it out. SCA, okay. The I would plan out in advance what color the horse was going to be and what color the rider and what stand he was going to go on. And now I'm just like, okay, let's just do a variety, and we'll sort it out at the end. You know, it's just a lot quicker than trying to shoehorn yourself into what size or what color you're going to do a guy before you do it. Just do a variety of shields and so forth. Variety of horse colors. All right. Let's put some stripes on there. I kind of white dye, didn't it? Yep. All right. We got another 10 minutes, like I said, and then we're going to sign off, and then we'll be back on in the morning to pick up where we left off on this guy. Let's we've done all the stripes this way, so let's do these stripes this direction. All right, let's add a little bit more white to that. Let's do one here towards the end. There we go. There we go. Same thing we're going to do one here at the bottom. See how we did. Just a little bit of detail there to break up the monotony. Okay. Nothing huge, just a little. That's a big interest I have in doing something like you're a 13th century German. We're going to be painting some of those. We're going to be painting some of those guys soon. Friedrich II. Probably not next army, but the one after that. Hohenstaufen. Okay, let's go ahead and give this guy some white pants. Why not, right? That's a good contrast because we're going to have some darker colored boots on there. Right. Hohenstaufen. All right. Now, let's add some white to that. And some pure white to that for the final highlight. Okay. Boots can wait till morning. Let's go ahead and do his spear color. Now, I've been using some yellowish color ones. That one's kind of yellow. That one is yellow. We're gonna do one that's, we'll use this color here. Feel free to use my device. I would be flattered. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I know there's a lot of stuff for that period Germans. A lot. You got that whole Manise Codex on there, but there's people from all types of walks there. I do have some dismounted German knights that I've already painted, and they're the blade unit in this Russian army, and I don't remember what they are. So I don't think I can use your device because you have crowns. I may do one that's white and blue. You have crowns, I believe. So yeah, where's that? Castles. Let's see. It's castles. Interesting. Okay. Is it based on somebody in particular? That's not your heraldry, is it? Oh, we'll have to find out what Brownell is. I'm gonna do that right now. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's got to be better than Mitch's. He's got like a powder, a potted plant. You get a discount at Brownell's? Just asking. Let's see what we got here. It should be brown, right? Oh, yours is okay. You got some complicated ones. I have a bunch here that have scallops on there. Interesting. And you've got the background there that's like the fur. That's the white with the little dots in it. That's interesting. Cool. Although I'm sure there's lots of different versions of whatever kind of heraldry there is, but interesting. They're castles based on me. Okay. If I do well in a castle. They're not air conditioned. I don't do well with non-air conditioned things. Yep. I'm spoiled and proud of it. They have about an hour and a half away from here. They have an Irish castle. I know, in Florida. What's it doing there? Well, these guys decided to create it. One guy was a mason, one guy was a carpenter, and it's a semi-religious type thing. It's not a church or anything, but it's just associated with the Diocese of St. Augustine. This little town on the coast, just north of St. Augustine, called Volano Beach, and they built a castle. They named it Castle Otis with three T's, probably in reference to the three crosses on Calvary. See what I did there? Didn't call it cavalry. And I don't call horses cavalry either. But Castle Otis, and it's done in the style of a 10th or 11th century Irish castle. Has no windows or anything. It's, birds can come in there or what have you, and they do like church ceremonies. And look it up. It's on there. There's some pictures of that on there. Castle Otis, Otttis. And there's some pictures of it online. I've never been inside of it. I've driven in front of it many times, but it's open by appointment only, pretty much. So you don't want people trashing the place. People would just, how people are. So, but yeah, you'll be driving down the beach and go, what the hell is that castle doing here? Because there's no castles in this continent. not that are used for, castle purposes. So closest you get is some forts. But yeah, so I didn't know how long I was going to be able to stay awake for, being tired and all. But we made it a couple hours, or nearly 2 hours. It's not too bad. And give us a head start on what's coming tomorrow. And don't think there'll be any painting Sunday. So. We had to make our own device and officially submit it because not allowed to use anyone else's device. The field blue is ermine with white spots and white ermine with blue spots and 3 castles. Okay, yeah, that's the fur color. I could never remember what it was called. Ermine, yep. That's just like a high-priced ferret, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure you've seen some heraldry in that that's just absolutely ridiculous. So, probably doesn't follow a convention and things like that of normal heraldry. Okay. Well, we're going to call this one a wrap. We'll pick this bug back up in the morning. And you guys have a good night. And see you in the morning when we can pick up with this Russian guy where we left off. Okay, folks. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and see you in the morning. Bye-bye.